Good morning. Welcome to Hardin County Commissioners Court. Today is a special session. It's August the 8th, 2016, and it is 9 a.m. All members of the court are present, constituting a quorum, and the meeting is called to order. Everyone will please rise for the invocation delivered by Commissioner Kirkendall, followed by the pledge.
Father, I thank you for this day, Lord. I thank you for your wisdom and your guidance, Lord, in preparing the budget, Lord, and taking care and representing the people of Hardin County. Lord, we pray for our men and women in the police field, Lord God, and law enforcement. We pray your hedge of protection around them. Pray your angels be assigned to them, Lord. Get them to work safely, get them home safely every day. Lord, we lift up our military and our nation, and we just pray, God, that, Lord, you'd bless our nation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item number 3 is a budget workshop to review and discuss the proposed fiscal year 17 budget submitted by the following departments. And item A, we have the Sheriff's Office, and that's account number 010560 and 561. That includes the Sheriff's Office budget and the jail. I got a call from the sheriff this morning. He's had some issues come up and couldn't be here. He wanted me to be sure and apologize to the court. He knows that we're meeting today at 9 o'clock at his request, and but he did reiterate to me that he does still have the same request, and asked that we please consider that request, which is the change in pay for, it's the supervisor differential that's on the long sheet that we have here in our packet, and it's for 3 ranks, being the major, captain, and lieutenant. And as we discussed last week, that change is a change from whatever they would fall under their normal years of service to putting them at top grade pay plus. So that would make them all an LE9 automatically, just like the chief deputy is, no matter how many years of service they would have. And I believe that constitutes about a $20,600 increase to change those from an LE1 to an LE9. Now, in 2 cases, those people are identified, so they actually would be changing from an LE6 to an LE9. And I know it gets complicated, but I tried to simplify it the best that I could. And one of the complications, or one of the items that is maybe kind of hard to comprehend, nobody has replaced the major. That position's been open since Ernie Cook retired. So since nobody's there, it just got put in the same in this year's budget as it was last year. Had somebody come in during the year, or either been promoted from within the department, then that would not have that $11,475 increase already built into the proposed budget. So the total amount of increase, if we approve this request, would be, just from the proposed budget to the final budget, the amount we would add in would be, Angela, can you remind me, it was 12,000 and something with fringes?
It's $10,509 for salaries, plus your fringes is $12,979.
But that does include the $11,475. It's already built in for the major position.
That's correct.
And that's if they hire somebody that has 0 years of experience with the Hardin County Sheriff's Office. Now, if he promotes from within, that changes that amount, and it would reduce it.
And that calculates to a 2% increase in their salary, is that right? Or am I reading that wrong? It has 2% cited.
That's for the current year. That's the current base pay. Now, you can see the next year doesn't have a percentage in it for the 16.
Okay, but this is on top of the 2%, right?
Yes, sir, it would be. It changes their base pay is what it does.
Okay.
So if you take the 2 people who have been identified as being promoted in the new budget to captain and lieutenant, the increase would be between this LE6, which is $52,196, up to $56,848.
for, the proposed budget as filed.
As we filed it as a court, without these increases?
Ma'am.
Okay.
Is that what you want, Judge? You wanna know how each one of us stand?
We'll need to have a consensus so we know how to prepare the worksheet between the proposed budget and the final budget.
I met with, Sheriff Kane and yourself and Chief Davis in regards to this. The original proposal had different things in it that I had questions on. Chief Davis modified those proposals and explained the top pay grade, for the lieutenant captain and major to me. I had questions about that. What I'm seeing is that, Chief Davis wants to come in and promote, at least two that I see. And with that promotion comes a pay increase, so I'm for this.
So you are for increasing those from LE
No, sir.
6s to LE 9s?
I'm for the proposal that,
Where it
I
says
thought-
top grade pay plus down there, you're for including that in the budget?
yes.
Okay. On all three positions?
I do not see a person that he's putting in here for major.
Right.
But I am for how he has it worded once he explained everything to me, so it will be included all three, yes.
All righty.
Judge, my position is I'm gonna hold with the proposed budget until such time as we get new figures from the appraisal district showing us how much of this contested amount that we're going to receive, and word from Shirley as to how much we're gonna be losing in fees. I don't think that's gonna be significant, but I would like to see the final figures before, and have time to digest all this before I commit to anything other than what we've filed.
Let me update you on a discussion that Shirley and I had last week, and I think she sent me a letter. Did y'all receive one as well? If not, I'll provide you all with a copy of that. But basically, the large hit on the DMV fees that she brought up to us, I think about 2 meetings ago, is gonna be the counties who have transact a lot of online business, which we do not. It's very hard to say how much that's gonna hurt Hardin County as far as decrease in the amount of DMV fees, but she wanted to say she did not think it would be as big of a hit to Hardin County as she first thought it would be. And so I'll provide you all with a copy of that letter.
And when is Alex supposed to,
She talked to Alex last week, and he's hopeful to have all of or the majority of the protests resolved this week.
okay, well, once we get that, and once Shirley knows exactly, and, you know, like you said, she doesn't think that's gonna be significant, then we will know exactly what our income picture is.
We'll have a better picture of that, yes, sir.
And at that time, I would, you know, like to reserve, any changes to the budget until that time.
Okay.
I agree with Commissioner Pell.
All right. So at this time, we will leave it like it is. Once we receive the final or any revised numbers from the appraisal district, we'll revisit this at that time. Is that agreeable with the court?
Agreeable.
Okay.
And we would have that meeting before the final public budget.
Yes, sir, we'll have another
Okay.
workshop between now and then, we could do that.
That's what I would.
As soon as I receive any information, updated information from Ms. Stevens, I'll contact each of you and we'll set a special workshop
Okay.
for that. Good morning.
Since Chief Davis just come in, can you,
I'm about to do that, yes,
thank
sir.
you.
What we've decided is on the increases for the 3 supervisor ranks, we are going to leave it as it is in the proposed budget for now. Shirley Stevens has talked to the the appraisal district chief. He is supposed to have some new figures for us once all the protested values are resolved, and he's hoping that's later this week. If not, maybe next week we'll have that. And as soon as we do, we will come back and revisit that request. At this time, Commissioner Cooper has stated his position on this, which was to leave it as proposed, top grade pay plus. And Commissioner Kirkendall, Commissioner Pelt, and Commissioner Roberts voiced that they would like to see what the final numbers are. I'm sorry, I'm putting words in your mouth.
That's okay.
Commissioner Kirkendall was in favor of leaving it like it is in the proposed budget. Commissioner Pelt and Commissioner Roberts were for leaving it like it is in the proposed budget, but coming back and revisiting this once we receive a better picture of where our revenue is gonna be. And I feel the same way as Commissioner Roberts and Commissioner Pelt on that.
You and I, Mark, haven't talked at all during this budget process, and so
why the change in protocol? If we've always hired people based on experience and position, why all of a sudden this time? Because one of the things that I'd like to do as a commissioner is make things consistent and fair, because one of the biggest morale busters that we have in the county is that we cherry pick who's getting what when everybody doesn't get equal. And so the red flag for me was, this is a break from protocol, because we're gonna take a person with 5 years where the adopted, I guess, agreement was you had to be at 16 plus years in order to be an LE9, but now all of a sudden we'll take a guy with 5 years and make him at the same level as someone who's been here 16 years. And so my question, nobody's explained to me, I haven't got a phone call from the sheriff, haven't got a phone call from you, haven't visited with anybody, nobody's explained to me all of a sudden why this year we have to change with protocol that I understand has been the SOP. And so, because whatever we do at the end of the budget, someone's gonna be unhappy. And again, it would be, well, 3 people out of the sheriff's office was cherry picked. And then that'll be something we'll hear for 6 months, which comes with the territory. I understand that. But it really, having served the people on the court for 6 years, it really does get to be a nuisance that when you've got a lot going on, to hear that over and over and over again about cherry picking. And so we're not giving raises this year, so in essence, only 3 people in the sheriff's office would get a raise.
Well, and if I could, I think there's we have an inherently poorly designed pay scale within the sheriff's office because of the way the ranks are set up, the LE 1 through 9. The reason for moving that is you've got someone who's a supervisor who's making less money than the people that he supervises. On the law enforcement side and the paramilitary just design of that, of how it functions with clear-cut structure and rank, you can't move forward in a positive atmosphere with a supervisor who's supervising someone and he's making less than the people that he's supervising. And one of the inherent flaws in that LE design is you can have someone who's at a lower rank who's going to make more because of his longevity or the time that he's been here in the raises. There needs to be a clear-cut break, if you would, in there, so that a sergeant who's here 1 or 50 years will never make more than a rookie lieutenant. And a senior lieutenant who's been here forever will never make more than a rookie captain. And in every other agency around here, there is that. Literally, everybody in Hardin County and Jefferson County and anywhere and beyond. For some reason, the design of that back when it was put into place didn't take that into account. And so we've always battled that. We battled that whenever I was there. We battled that when the judge was there. Commissioner Cooper, it's been an inherent design. And when Ed and I looked at that, I said, this is a perfect opportunity to get that headed in the right direction. So again, and I know it's a long way around to answer your question, but there's something inherently wrong when you're paying a person less than the people they supervise. For me coming in as a new sheriff, I'm trying to decide my team. I want to surround myself with the folks that I think are going to get us in the direction that I want to go. And in order to do that, I've got to be able to have something to go to these people to go, hey, we'd like to politic you to get you over into our administration. Come apply for a job. I'd like to see what you've got, see if it's a fit. And one of the selling points, the first thing I get asked is your pay still, is your rank still the same way that it was? Because again, if I'm going to come in as a lieutenant or a captain and I'm going to supervise 20 or 30 or 40 people, why do I want to do that for less than somebody that I'm supervising? So an inherent design, I'd love to see, and I talked about trying to redesign that LE system. I don't know. Obviously, this isn't the year to go back and look at every one of those. Right. But when I talked with Commissioner Cooper and the judge, when we first had our meeting, I said, that's a quick fix. It gets us on the road to where we need to be, but it's still not a perfect answer. there's some design flaws in that pay structure that really need to be addressed. And, you know, it's, I don't know that we've got all the answers, but this is one of the things that I think can get us where we need to be and right a few things that are wrong.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions or comments regarding the pay scale and the supervisor differential? Chief, is there anything else you'd like to discuss regarding the budget?
I got one question for the
Sure.
chief. Mark, on, when you're saying that, okay, you have guys who have been here for many years that are at the tops, and they also have masters, peace officers, or get with certificate pay. Those, even with their extra pay, if it puts them above the salary of, say you have a patrol officer making more than a sergeant, because of that, is there gonna be a limit? How are you gonna stop that from happening to, you know, put them ahead of the next grade? Do you see what I'm saying? Or does that matter, or is it just the base pay is what you're looking at?
Well, it's not the base, but what it amounts to is, you know, if you're a sworn person, y'all seen the budget, but real quick, if you're a sworn person, you make X number of dollars plus whatever your certificate pay is, and that can be intermediate, advanced, or master. So
Right.
there's 3 levels there. If you have supervision, then you get a supervisory stipend, and that's X number of dollars for a sergeant, a little bit more if you're a lieutenant, a little bit more if you're a captain, so forth and so on. And so everybody is the same base. If you're sworn, you get the same base plus whatever your 2 additional stipends for certificate level. When we looked at the bigger picture, that didn't seem to be an issue with deputy and sergeant. Where it really becomes an issue is going from sergeant to lieutenant or sergeant to captain or beyond. And that was our biggest issue. Not so much from the deputy and the sergeant. The way, there's a big enough, I guess, addition in there that you're not having the problem with a senior deputy and a rookie sergeant. I guess, you know, inevitably there may be a time when that may happen, but that's not our biggest issue. When we looked at the overall salary scheme, that was not our problem. Our problem was sergeant, lieutenant, and lieutenant captain.
Okay, so on the lieutenant scale, say, you want the lieutenant's bottom figure to be above any sergeant with any additional pay. So, where he starts out, no matter what the sergeant has as far as a master peace officer or whatever, his pay cannot, it could bump the bottom of the rookie lieutenant, but not go above the bottom of the rookie lieutenant.
Yes.
And I am aware that other agencies do that, yes.
Yeah, and there may not be but $50 difference, but there's a clear-cut break between those two. And that was a design flaw of that pay system when it was started.
Which I understand, or as I understand, was in 2001. So it hasn't been changed, you know, since then.
And Mark, do I understand it right, then anything below an officer, there would be a definite cap that they could not go past? Is that right? Or would you have to keep bumping the officer up?
No, I think the officer is set, there is a set pay, and he comes in as an LE1 with whatever his certificate level is, and then the only way he increases from that is to go get more training and more time and get a higher certificate level to get a bigger stipend or for his years of service when he's here.
Okay, but I guess what I'm not understanding is, let's say you hire a lieutenant in, which, you know, you're picking your management team.
Sure.
With lieutenants, captains, majors, what all grades you have. Is there something in there that would say that your regular deputies through sergeants? Sergeant's not an officer, right?
Well, he's a deputy with he's first line supervisor, yes.
He's supervisor, but he's not an officer.
Is he in the administration? Is that what the question is?
Well, the question is, I'm comparing it to the Army. Your lieutenant is your first officer.
Correct.
And I would assume y'all are kind of patterned like that.
We are, yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
You don't hit the exempt status until you're technically captain and above.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm getting at is, it would
never be possible or never happen under the change system that a rookie through sergeant, anyone in the ranks, they would never be able to go above what a lieutenant coming in would make. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and that's what we would like to see for every one of those divisions.
Okay, so you're either gonna have to set a cap on what, let's call them enlisted people, can make, or you're either gonna have to continue to move up officers' pay as you would have people in the ranks move up to bump the top. Yeah, okay.
Do you have a comparison of agencies in the county that do that? Like Silsbee, Lumberton, Sour Lake, the differentials?
As far as the percentage difference between pay grades, I do not, but I can sure give you one.
I'd like to see that.
You bet. Hold on to your socks. Yeah.
No, I understand, my guys can go 20 miles down the road and make $3 to $4 more per hour in Jefferson County running the same equipment. I have the same issue. I mean, we have commercial driver's license, they get points, if they get tickets, they have to maintain them, keep them up, and, what have you, so they can go work for Eddie Arnold 20 minutes up the road.
And likewise with any
Yeah.
of us here in law enforcement in Hardin County.
Yeah.
You can leave and go to Jefferson County tomorrow, and we've had deputies that have done that. Walk
Right.
in the door 10,000 more,
Yeah,
walking in the door.
so,
And doing a lot less,
Yeah.
honestly.
And, it's that's always been a struggle, it's gonna always be a struggle.
right,
I think we're very competitive where our deputy pay is right now, compared to other agencies around, compared to Silsbee, I can tell you. A beginning deputy makes more here than he does at Silsbee PD.
yeah,
Now where they catch him is, it's a little bit different over there, the structure and the different, the paid holidays, and you have paid overtime, and so things are a little bit different. It's truly not apples to apples,
right.
but,
I'd like to see the differentials and how they adjust, and then, like Ken said, he brought up a good point, is there ever a cap, or is it in 4 years, say a lieutenant starts out at 60,000, and then all of a sudden, now he's gotta be at 62.5, and we've gotta go up on taxes to cover that, because the big battle we're losing is losing mineral evaluations. And so, and that's the thing, we've gotta shuffle the deck and try to get more for less, so. But I do appreciate you, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
If, I might try just for a minute to answer that question that Mr. Pelt and, Chris had. If a lieutenant comes in at top pay and master, the only raises he's gonna get is if he promotes to captain or major or gets 2% by this court.
correct.
However, a deputy every 2 years is getting a step increase based on the LE 1, 2 through 9. Your lieutenant through, chief deputy is not. The only thing they'll get is if they promote to the next higher level. So they'll stay right there at that, unless we give them the 2% or whatever. I don't know if that helps any, but, and that's why I said what I said whenever, Chief Davis explained it to me. I was satisfied with his explanation on that portion of it to, differentiate between the, ranks there.
So here's a question. Would there be a certificate qualification in order to be lieutenant? You gotta have was it intermediate basic master?
There is not currently, no.
But if you're gonna top them out, would you? And if you're gonna bring them in at LE, what is it, LE 9? If you're gonna bring them at LE 9, would you hire someone with an intermediate to supervise someone with a master's certificate?
I think that'd have to be on a case-by-case basis on what they're bringing to the table. What's their experience? Has it been in management or supervision as opposed to street patrol? And I think that'd have to be a case-by-case basis.
So if we look at restructure and all of that, especially after we see the differential, there'd obviously have to be a difference in a lieutenant intermediate, lieutenant master, lieutenant basic. I mean, Cause what we're getting into is now, you talk about someone with a master's certification, officer level, making more than a, say, first line lieutenant, or, first year lieutenant, but he's got all of these years' experience, and he's got the education, and so now it's paying off. So, my concern would be, why should an intermediate supervise a master's certification? And I get the administrative skills, and I'm just thinking out loud, cause we've not even talked, so. But if you would look at that to see, what a Mark Davis administration would look like, this is what you propose, and
Well, see, in private industry, it's not uncommon for a quote supervisor or officer to be supervising people that make more money than they do. The only difference is those salaries are private and no one knows them, and we publish them. So that does create a problem, yeah. And I guess, Nubbin answered part of my question, or part of my thinking was that, with the automatic steps, how often are we gonna be facing this? Is it a 4-year cycle, or?
Right. In other words, where does it end?
Yeah.
Where's the
Yeah,
end?
I guess, I was trying to look long range and see, okay, if we make a correction right now, when will our next correction be due? And do we have a thought-out plan that's just gonna handle this in the future?
Something else along the lines of what Chris asked Chief Davis to do on comparing to other agencies. I did not on the lieutenant captain and major, but I did call around on the certificate pay, and we're extremely low on that. Lumberton PD makes a lot more than that on the certificate pay, so,
Lumberton doesn't have ad valorem tax.
yeah.
They have a lot of businesses. So I'm not sure that, we can apple and apple aren't, Coontz, Sour Lake, Sylvia, and Lumberton. Lumberton's a very fortunate place.
and in the regional planning commission, like Jefferson County, Orange County, Hardin County, I'd be interested. I know they have a larger tax base, but if you could just get the base of like a lieutenant captain, major, comparatively, I know it's different, but I don't know if it's a good idea to compare it to a smaller city like Sour Lake.
No, but we don't have any money.
We don't have any money.
Just kidding, we do have a little bit of money.
The only thing I have, and it goes back, cause I worked there and Nubbin worked there, and Wayne, we've all worked in the sheriff's department, and we had those salary differentials, and I remember, when I made sergeant, probably the same thing with Nubbin. I actually passed Johnny Westbrook, who at the time was a captain, up in pay. And I never agreed with that. I understood Johnny's point on it. I don't think a sergeant should make more than a captain. But in the same token, I think, when you go down to supervisors, and if the sergeant's a supervisor, I don't think he should be making less than the pay of the people who work under him, just like a lieutenant or a captain or a major. I just, I understand the ranking of it, but that's just my feel. I mean, I don't know how they feel about it, but if you're gonna break the scale down and you don't want someone supervising people under them making more money, then we have to figure that also with the sergeants who are supervisors. That's my feeling on it.
And fair and consistent, because that's the biggest role as a commissioner that we can fulfill with employees, is to be fair and consistent every budget year. So, because that's the biggest complaint I probably get, is we're not fair.
One thing we could look at doing today, if y'all wanted to, and if you don't, that's fine. It's already in the proposed budget for the major to be at an LE9. It's already in there because that's what the outgoing major was making, was an LE9. We could decide to go ahead and leave it that way and then revisit the other two positions later, or we can stick with what we decided earlier on visiting all three of them at a later date. Once we have the, any amended figures that we may get from the appraisal district and the tax collector.
I'd like to see the amended figures, but also, Chief, if you could put together something that we talked about the differences, because I would be open about it, but I'd like to see what we're looking at. So, if that makes sense.
All right. So we'll come back to all three of these roughly in a week or so, and as soon as I have those revised figures, I'll send it out to, everyone, or Shirley will send it to all of us, however it's normally done. And then I'll contact the sheriff or you or both of you, and we'll go from there. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Any other items in the sheriff's budget? And there is one item that I wanted to bring up. I had gotten a visit last week regarding the, cell phone allowances. Haven't talked to Mark about that, but the sheriff had requested 3,600, and, I had reduced that to 2,400, based on some conversations the sheriff and I had in the past, that, he wanted to be sure he had enough in there for the 2 narcotics guys. But, we had a missing person last week that some guys had to be out in the woods looking for, and were using their cell phones for GPS and what have you, and I was requested to rethink that and maybe go back to what the sheriff had requested as, which was 3,600. And I think that's probably a valid request. So what's the consensus of the court?
Yeah, I got it.
Now, this is for personal cell phone, it's sort of like a car
And then
allowance.
we pay them a cell phone allowance, yes, or through payroll.
How does that compare if the county furnishes cell phones?
Well, that's something Misty and I have talked about, meeting with our Verizon rep to see, but,
Because we might be on a state contract and,
well, I think
we talk
Again,
a lot of times for $300.
we haven't discussed the amount, but if they were paid $50 a month, after taxes, they bring home around $41 or $42 towards their cell phone that they're probably paying somewhere around $60 to $80 a month on. And I think that would be fair if we were to increase that back up so that he can add 2 more deputies to that,
I know you're talking about $3,600 per person?
no, sir, $3,600 annually for everybody.
Oh,
Right now, it's at
okay.
2,400.
Oh,
And that would cover 4 deputies
I
at
don't
$50
have
a
any
month.
questions about that.
Okay. So adding that 1,200 back in
I
is not
thought
an
you were
issue?
talking about per person. I thought that's a lot of talk.
No, that would be a lot of talking, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I agree.
No, if we're getting it for 50 a person,
Okay,
that's a bargain.
sound good?
Yes.
My wife talks more than that.
Well, we won't go there.
Can't edit this.
Right.
She don't ever watch this, so.
Somebody might send it to her. Not me, though. All right. Any other discussion regarding the sheriff's office budget? You have anything further? All right, the only other item on the agenda is item B, all other departments. And, there's only one item that I know that I'd like to discuss here, and this is a discussion I had with the purchasing agent, and, on her, salary increase, and again, that has to do with the Department of Labor ruling, that's the reason that comes up. Want to set her with the other 5 personnel at 47.5 instead of the 48.750, just to make it even and fair. That's a discussion I've had with Misty, and that's not gonna be an issue with her. Does anyone else have any issue with doing that? So that'll be a change.
She's agreeable to it. I don't have an issue.
Okay, so that'll be a change that we'll make on the, between the proposed budget and the final budget. So as a recap, at this time, the only changes from the proposed budget to the final budget is an increase in the district clerk's office, changing a part-time person to full-time, and then a decrease in the, purchasing agent's salary from 48.750 to 47.5. Are there any other adjustments that we need to discuss today? All right, as soon as I receive any new information from the tax collector or the appraisal district, I'll get that out to everyone. And, then we can revisit this issue with the, rank pay for the 3 supervisors in the sheriff's office at that time.
Move adjourned.
Second.
Have a, motion by Commissioner Pelt and a second by Commissioner Kirkendall. We're adjourned and we're in recess until 10 a.m. Yes, we'll talk about that in the regular meeting. The tax, that'll be a tax rate hearing that we have to have.